Hi, I'm Megan Bent, and I'm sitting here in my exhibition, I Don't Want to Paint a Silver Lining Around It, in the Open Door Gallery at the Worcester Art Museum. The works in this show are an exploration of my experience of being high risk and immunocompromised during the pandemic. I'm somebody who lives with an autoimmune form of arthritis and another progressive autoimmune disease as well. I explore the experience through the process of chlorophyll printing, which uses photosynthesis to print images onto leaves. I do this to connect disability in nature and to claim disability as an important part of human diversity. And the chlorophyll printing process is one where an exposure can take a few hours to a few days. And so it's really this process that requires patience and flexibility and care and slowness, and these are all values that I personally find in the disability community. And one other thing about the process that I think is really important is that chlorophyll prints will continue to deteriorate and decay over time, and I feel like that process really underscores the impermanence and vulnerability that we all share. The title came to me very early on in the start of the pandemic here in the US and in the Northeast. As everything was shutting down, I felt like this call for everyone to sort of embrace the experience and try to make the most of it. And I think all of that is good and important, and especially in really, really hard times. But it also started to become really clear that there were different experiences of the pandemic that were happening. Like, for example, when I was nervous about it, I had people tell me, acquaintances who didn't know me very well, like, don't worry, only the sick and elderly will die. But, that hit really hard because it's just such a casual disregard, for certain populations in society. And so the title came to me through feeling like it was good to try to find ways to cope, but also that I wanted to make work that wasn't really gonna shy away from looking at the very difficult aspects of this experience. I mainly focused in photography, but I've also done video work and installation work. And I feel like a common thread through all of those pieces is exploring the experience of disability combined with the everyday. So whether that's, mapping my movements through using a pinhole camera or installations on a wall, to this work here, which is showing the everyday experience of being high risk in the pandemic and all the different layers and facets of that. So before this project, I was working on another series called Latency. This was before the pandemic. And it was a project that also uses chlorophyll printing, and it was one that explored what does it mean to live with invisible illness, to have something that's such a huge part of your identity, but is not something that is going to be readily recognized when people look at you. And so I was using chlorophyll printing to print medical imagery, some of my x-rays, but it was also more of a collaborative project where it wasn't just about my experience, and I was collaborating with other people from the disability community who were sharing their experiences with me and things that they felt were invisible about their experience they wish more people knew. Chlorophyll printing was actually invented by the photographer Bin Don, who is amazing and incredible, so if you don't know his work, definitely check it out. And he talks about inventing it through noticing that when he would leave the watering hose in the grass, there would be an alteration in the color of the grass of the chlorophyll because that hose was blocking it from receiving sunlight. And so it was through his discovery of this process and sharing it that I learned about it, and through trial and error was able to teach myself it and just fell in love with it. There are so many pictures that I have taken wanting to chlorophyll print and have not been able to yet. And it comes down to a number of different factors. Sometimes it's that there's something very specific about the experience that I'm wanting to address. And so, I know that this image will be the one that can help me share that sentiment. Sometimes it comes down to the marriage of the leaf and the print on it. There are certain images that I still want to print, ideas I still want to get out there. But I just haven't been able to come up with a print that I feel is like truly successful in sharing that message yet. And so now that it's turning spring, it's like the chlorophyll printing season is starting for me again. And so I'm starting to rethink about, what are those images that still have not been made yet that I'm still trying to make. I feel like there's a few things I'm hoping will come out of this work being out in public. One of them is that if you're somebody who is high risk in the pandemic or, still feeling cautious, that you feel validated and don't feel alone. I guess another thing I would like would be for there to be conversations like we're having today happening, where we're just talking, like the work as a generative force to have conversations about what's been happening over the last few years and to process that.